Hey, this is Neil from Heavyocity. I am back to show you our new product called Vocalise 2. We took two incredible singers that were in Vocalise 1 and spent more time with them, getting more articulations, trying some new textures and experiments, and I think you're really going to like it. So I'm going to play the first section of this demo, and then I'll talk about what I used and why. And I'm also using our other new product, Novo Modern Strings, and I have some percussion in there. The booms, just kind of a subatomic boom thing happening underneath for some gravity. And then a couple of really simple loops just to kind of keep the time. One ensemble drums and ensemble medals. So back to Vocalise, here we go. And I'm using Digital Performer, so let's take a whirl. We're going to open up with some moving vowels, sung by each singer, panned left on this first one by Song Yi, and the second one is Carla, panned right. Okay, so let's take a look at what's going on. So we have moving vowel 1, which is Song Yi, which I already told you about. And if we solo this, take a look under the hood. So I had mentioned that those were panned left and right, which in fact is not totally accurate. What I did do is use the motion panner for both of them, both of these moving vowels, and I had them kind of alternating in the way that they pan. You'll see up here this is panning left while this one is panning right, and etc. So there's kind of a movement, there's some crossover. This is Carla doing the same voicings. So let's see those together. All right, so we'll go back to the beginning. And then the next thing introduced is one of the vocal phrases. And we have 4 different keys. I chose A minor. And the beautiful thing about this is it's tempo synced, which is a huge plus. So these phrases will either stretch out or kind of contort shorter depending on your tempo. So this is the opening kind of vocal phrase here. Let me find that in my vast setup of vocal things here. A minor phrases. So I used a lot of the reverb in the engine. So if I were to play that again, they're pretty dry, which is cool. And then for this particular track, it's pretty ethereal and moody. So we kind of started off here. So there's slow development happening there. And then on top, we've also got 3-layer pads. And let's take a look at that. I'm using a patch called Wall of Wonder, which is pretty simple. Just a high texture. So if we add that in here, maybe start here. So that introduces something pretty exciting and new in this product. With Vocalise 2, we have these pedal combos, and they're vocal rhythmic pedals. So what's happening here is that's one, and it can be played as a chord like. And again, those are also tempo synced. So you change your host tempo or context tempo if you're using it in standalone, and it's going to change. So you don't have to make anything audio and deal with any of those issues. There's a second one that I have playing, and there's many of these. I just chose to use a couple. I want to solo this and play. Pretty interesting. Adds a really cool kind of texture to stuff. So in context, and those also are playable. So here's one, and then you can play them offbeat and create even further complex rhythms. There's a ton of these, and they just add this kind of new flavor to the product, which I think is really exciting. It kind of propels it. It sounds different. So the other half of this, which you just heard, was me bringing in some of the strings as supportive layers. I'm going to go back to the beginning and just kind of play the beginning of the track along with Novo. We have some cellos, basses, and high ensemble texture. So very light kind of trembo. And then let's see what we got going on here. Slowly fading in. And so on. And then the secondary part. That's the basses and the cellos. Along with the high texture string. So with everything. So I'm trying to spread things out, have the vocals do a lot of the work here because we're showing off the product, but also adding some key elements in from Novo, and then a really simple rhythm. Here we go, this straight eighths breakout, which is down here, which is from Ensemble Metals. It's a simple loop. Was trying to create something quickly and just grab something that was kind of under the radar. I really, again, want to go back to the moving vowels. I just think it's such a cool sound. So, very organic. And they're looped really well, so, if you take a couple bars of this stuff and just preview it together, it just really breathes. It sounds really organic. It's not overly treated. And I just love them. I think they sit really well in the mix. So let's go to the second part of this, and we can take a look how the strings are interacting with the vocals and all the other stuff going on. So here we go from here. So, on the end of this, it's kind of building, progression is building and moving, things are getting more full, and then we end up with a simple ending of this pedal phrase, and this little vocal, just kind of bringing you out of the piece. 3, 4. Which is really pretty. And then using this Wall of Wonder and Stutter Vocade, which is another pad, to tail out on the end. And again, these pads are all in Vocalise too. So I guess we didn't take a look at this and what it was doing. So I'm just using channel 1 of this pad, and it's just kind of a nasty analog synth, which adds some kind of grit and a little glue to the bottom, which I like. Grit and glue, it's good. So that in the scheme of the whole track, see if we can kind of hear that. And again, using the pedal combos, you have this. But it propels, again, in this kind of cool organic way with vocals, which is not a typical way to use them. So we're really excited about putting this into Vocalise too. So that whole phrase. Put in the Stutter Vocade pad. And then some moving vocals as the pads. And then the lead. And that lead, I might have missed it with the play button. So from here. And then the last piece, I just made a choice to use these wet drums from Master Sessions in the background. And they're not too loud, just to kind of propel things. So from here in the mix. Just little rhythmic accents here and there. And then the big sonic boom. So one thing I use from Gravity. Love those. And then on the end, did kind of an interesting thing. Instead of changing the attack in the instrument, I just use volume. So you end up with a kind of swell underneath the end of the solo vocal. I like low end a lot. So hearing that. Cool. All right, so I'll play the whole thing. Let's go. All right, so that is it. That is Vocalise 2, along with Novo, our modern strings product, and a little bit of percussion from Master Sessions and some booms from Gravity. So you can check out Vocalise 2 at heavyocity.com. It's available now. Thanks for listening.